Oh boy. Okay. Wasn't sure how to start this review at all. Hence why it's taken this damn long. Because on the one hand, I can't tell if I should be leading it up with a joke about how much of a coward I am, or if I should be bringing up the fact that I know that this review pretty much it is serves no purpose really. It, it doesn't. It sucks. It doesn't. The facts are is that the studio who made the game are gone, and honestly, considering the ones who canned them is Embracer, who has no idea how to do their business properly when it comes to game industry at all. In fact, they're honestly probably up there for tied for the most inept, brainless, delusional, and so piss poorly run to the point of bordering on comedy. Quite genuinely, if it wasn't for the single fact that the people who own them are rich, quite literally Embracer's one of three companies that would have died upon being made into existence because of piss poor management, idiotic leadership, uninformed morons making all the calls when in reality they don't know anything about the industry, about the medium itself, or about how to not piss off consumers to the point of bordering on blacklisting their ass. Yeah, cheery, I know. Here's the thing. Ultimately, I'm going to be reviewing Alone in the Dark. Now, let me make this clear. I'm a pansy ass. It took me quite literally far more than a year for me to watch, and I don't mean just one, not two, just for me to watch the 4 seasons of Stranger Things. Took me literally a year after season 4 had already long finished. Yeah, yeah, it took me a year. And before you ask, no, my family did want to kill me. And I don't blame them. Like I said, I'm a pansy. For me, Stranger Things is the equivalency of some of the hardest, most intensive horror in all of the horror genre to my pansy ass. Okay? So, with that in your mind, I should hate Alone in the Dark. I should hate it. I should despise it. I should be cursing its name. I loved it. No, really. I actually had a huge amount of fun. In fact, honestly, this is probably the first time in horror media as a whole where I actually didn't have nightmares, wasn't cussing every 4 femtoseconds, and on top of all that, I actually was really enjoying myself and was really intrigued and wanting to learn more it, about everything that's going on. Hell, I actually enjoyed it so much that honestly, after finishing it once, I immediately went for New Game Plus to play as the other character. Granted, I have a weird thing about New Game Plus that probably just is just a me nitpick. I don't think this impacts like 99.99.99% of everybody else who's played it. I don't think they give two shits about this part. I personally, it's a nitpick for me for a reason. Ultimately, New Game Plus jacks up the difficulty and gives you all the guns unlocked. Me personally, I think I actually would have preferred if the difficulty wasn't kicked up quite as much and if I wasn't given all the guns. Especially since there are plenty of times where finding these things are kind of your reward for sleuthing out, doing puzzles. But when that's all unlocked, some of those moments kind of become ho hum. Not bad, just ho hum. Now, I will say, I loved both protagonists. And I'm going to tell you right now, they and many, not all, many of the voice actors kicked ass. They did the job with flying colors. Besides two. Just two. Now you could argue, well, one of them probably probably neither one of them is really that big a deal. And to be fair, you're right. It's a nitpick. But that's the thing I have to slide into next, is stating this. After playing the game, I don't have a single damn negative, like hard negative point dropping thing to say. I got a couple nitpicks, and that's it. Why? Because the game was good. The game was fun. The game was the right amount of scary for a pansy ass like me. It was just enough of that supernatural freaky deaky shit to get me interested, but not terrify me and make me want to book it in the other way. Now, I repeat, I am a hardcore pansy ass. And this game, honestly, was probably the first ever horror-esque related, I don't care what terminology you want to use. It was probably one of the first Alone in the Dark games it is the only Alone in the Dark game I've ever played. I've seen some stuff, but that's not the same thing as playing half the time. And I'm going to tell you right now, allow me to spell this out. And I'm going to use the dumbest words possible. I'm not going to use stuff like implore or I beseech. Okay, I'm not going to use none of those shits. Why? Not because you people watching are dumb, but because Embracer's a dumbass. So let me explain Embracer. Where all you fucked up. Because you did a lot. First things first. Unrealistic expectations. This game, despite having some really good voice actors, and all of them who came in, showed up, shut the house down, here's the problem. This game was never going to make billions or millions or 100 millions or tens of millions of dollars at all in its first year. It had no shot of that. And that is not because the game is bad, and it sure as shit isn't because of the voice actors. And it's definitely not because of the writing. The ultimate reason for why it cannot attain that is twofold. One, the game that came before this in the Alone in the Dark franchise failed. Bad. I'm even dropping hints right now on why it was so bad. Can you tell what it is yet? The thing is that honestly, the last Alone in the Dark game that I've been able to find after doing research for a couple hours, it's not good. It's bad. Bad. Like, I watched a video of it, of what I could find, and I'm not gonna lie to you. Oh shit, that looked like shit. Ugh. Whew. The thing is because the last game in this one, the one that was the last thing people saw for so long, was a bad game, this thing already had a roadblock for unparalleled delusion success already. Number two, the type of success they seem to be after is kind of seeming to be like Pokemon level money for everything. But that's not achievable in the real world. At all. At all. I can't stress that. There's not enough bold or italics here, okay? Ultimately, Alone in the Dark was going to make a good money for it. And if it had continued on and continued to showcase a reputation of doing the job right, the game would have crushed it eventually, all right? The game would have been making crazy money. But you have to give it more than a fucking game after a disaster, okay? You don't just go to a disaster zone the day after and expect everyone to be hunky-dory already, do you? No, you expect the buildings to still be a mess and people to be a mess. Duh. The thing is, this exact logic applies here as well. You had a bad game that did tons of damage to the reputation. So having a delusional demand and expectation for it to make tons and tons of crazy money is stupid. It's business suicide. Okay? Let me summarize some business for you, Bracer, because clearly no one taught you Economics 101, clearly. Here's the thing. Supply and demand are great. Here's the problem, though. You should never assume that the demand is going to be sky high. Never. Doesn't matter what business you're working. You should never assume that the demand's going to be through the roof. You should assume it could be anywhere, depending on how good or bad you've sold the product. And when I say sold the product, I don't mean in the way of supply demand. I mean sold as in marketing, okay? Now here's the thing. There are some good things you did in marketing. Nothing too batshit, okay? But that does not, I repeat, it does not undo the damage of the prior game. If you want to undo the damage to a reputation, to a franchise from a prior game, you have to start making good games within that franchise. And even then, it's not going to get repaired in one game. Period. Ever. That's just not possible. That is moronic to the point of being comedy even. Okay? No. It takes time for you to regrow a reputation that is good when you do something stupid. It's that simple. The thing is, Alone in the Dark, the current one now, it being expected to make huge buco money was delusional, unachievable, and moronic. It's not even... I don't even think I should be calling this Economics 101. I feel like I should be calling this Economics 0. -1 even, okay? It's simple, okay? When your reputation's already been hit, don't assume the very next game after that is going to make a lot of money. The opposite. You should assume that it's going to be making very conservative money. Because everyone is convinced it's already going to be another bad game. Because your reputation's already taken the hit. Okay, hopefully, probably not, let's be honest here. Maybe, having said this and vented, maybe things will get a little better. Where I'm not face palming every 5 seconds to idiotic expectations that are legitimately impossible in the real world. But then again, it's probably going to be like 5 minutes before Square pulls the same shit again. So, ultimately, Alone in the Dark is for me a very easy 10 out of 10. Now, I can see why some people might go lower. I can see that. I ultimately went up with 10 because of the simple fact of by the end of it, despite it being a horror game, and I'm a pansy-assed pussy, I wanted to play it again. And I did, immediately. And the only thing that stopped me from completing the game again was the fact that I had all the weapons unlocked. Which I wish I didn't. I wish I just had the collectibles instead. But, ultimately, it was a ton of fun, and honestly, it is a game I can recommend to anyone with ease. Now, unfortunately, it does suck, like I said, that the studio who made it is gone. The overall odds of Embracer having enough brain cells or enough basic business knowledge to not repeat all of their screw-ups again, I don't buy that for a second. I sooner believe that I'm the frickin' Tooth Fairy, and last time I checked, Tooth Fairy didn't come in X last I checked. Or did I miss a memo? Anyways, I hope you guys managed to find a way to laugh at me, laugh with me. Hopefully, maybe you'll check this game out. Whether that's through rental or getting it yourself. Honestly, right now, I don't care. It was a great experience for a pansy. I cannot emphasize that hard enough. For those of you who are not pansy-assed as much as I am, you won't have much scares with this one, and that might tarnish your fun in it. I myself am a hardcore pansy, so quite literally, this game got me to drop the F-bomb a few times. And not to mention maybe jump about 3 times out of my chair. No, not just jump out of up, jump out my chair. Yeah. Like I said, I'm a coward. I'll see you all next week for the next review, and I'm going to surprise you with it. Because of one reason. I went back and forth between playing Alone in the Dark and the next game constantly so much to the point of where I was half tempted just to make those 2 games a singular review. But that was chaos. So I will see you all next time. See ya.